Hi, I'm Chad with Move For Guitar. This lesson is from our course, Music Theory 2. All the lessons for this course are free on YouTube, so you can follow right along with the playlist or look in the description below for links to the rest of the lessons. To accelerate your learning though, I highly recommend you download the corresponding Music Theory 2 workbook and eGuide. To learn more about the workbook and eGuide, click the link on the screen or look in the description below. Welcome to Music Theory 2, Lesson 4. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to take all the interval shapes from the last lesson and play them through all the string sets. So in the last lesson, I showed you the interval shapes, and everything I showed you, I started with the 6-string root or tonic, depending if it was a scale or a chord, and then the next note was on one of the adjacent strings, either this string or this string. And I just started with the 6-string root or tonic just to keep it simple, but I want to show you in this lesson how you can actually move these shapes down towards the floor through all of the string sets, because obviously you don't want to just be able to play them starting with the 6-string root or tonic. You want to be able to play them with your root or tonic on any of the strings. So I'm just going to go through all of the interval shapes again and then show you how you move them through your string sets. So again, we're starting with a minor second or flat 2, which is a half step apart. That's your smallest interval distance. And the shape looked like this when you had a 6-string root or tonic. If you're to move this through your different string sets, so if I move this down towards the floor, you end up with the exact same shape. You do it again, you end up with the exact same shape. Then when you move to the next string set, you have to change it up, because now this note is hitting your second string. And if you remember, I told you anytime something hits your second string, it has to move up half a step or 1 fret to accommodate the different tuning between the third and second string. So that would mean that note would move up half a step, and now this is your minor second interval shape. Then if I move down towards the floor one more string set, we actually have to move this note now because it's the one on the second string. So if we move that up, we end up with this interval shape, which actually gives you the same shape that we had when we started right there. You can see that's the exact same shape. I'm just on different frets by the time I hit this. And it may be a little confusing about what I'm showing you because I'm not showing you based on any notes. So all we're basing this on is whatever this note is, the red one, this note's distance from it. So I don't care, for example, that on the first one I'm showing you with this minor second, that this is technically an A note, and then when I move this shape down towards the floor, this is technically a D note. That doesn't matter. All we're worried about is the actual shape. The note names or where we're playing this on the fretboard doesn't matter. That's all arbitrary right now. So just worry about the shapes. Don't worry about what the name of the root note is, especially when it starts moving around like I'm doing as I'm showing you going through these string sets. I'm just showing you a minor second interval shape looks exactly like this when you're playing it on these string sets. It looks exactly like this when you're playing it on these string sets, and so on. Doesn't matter where on the fretboard you are. The note names are irrelevant right now. We're just talking about the shapes and taking the first shape that we started with the 6-string root or tonic and moving it down through all the string sets. What actually happens to that shape and what's happening because you're hitting the second string right here, which has a major third interval distance between those two strings. So what I mean by that is if I was to take something like a major third shape, I have an A and a C sharp. That makes a major third. A is my tonic or root, C sharp is my major third. To play that somewhere else and keep A and C sharp, if I was to play it on the next two strings, I'd have to play it all the way up here. That's A, that's C sharp. The next two strings I'd have to play it here, A and C sharp. Next two strings, A, C sharp. Next two strings, A, C sharp. So you can see it's just all over the fretboard. But those shapes stay the same no matter what key I'm in, no matter what my notes are. So I'm just keeping them all close together. So if I was showing major thirds and I started on A and C sharp, which is a 6th string, 5th fret, 5th string, 4th fret, when I play that shape again on the next two string sets, I'm just going to move straight down towards the floor and keep within the same fret. But I'm not playing the same notes anymore. Now I'm playing a D and an F sharp, which would be D is my root or tonic, F sharp is the major third of D. So that's what I mean. I'm just keeping everything close together instead of taking two of the same notes and moving them all up and down the fretboard. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, keep watching. I think eventually this will all be clear to you why I'm showing you this. Again, it's something that you might have to go back to a bunch of times and then go forward, come back, and eventually it'll all just click. But I'm just showing you all these interval shapes on the different string sets, and it's important to understand what's happening, why this actual shapes of the intervals are changing. But don't think you have to have this all memorized right now. We're going to keep coming back to it. It'll eventually all make sense. So our next interval was the major second. It looked like this. If we move it through the next two string sets, it's going to stay the same. And again, that's because it's not hitting our second string. It's only going to change when we hit that second string. So from the 6th to the 5th is the same, from the 5th to the 4th is the same, from the 4th to the 3rd is the same. It's not until we hit the 3rd to the 2nd that we have to move the note that's on the second string up half a step or 1 fret, and that's our new shape. And again, then we're going to move down to the next two strings. Now this note's on the second string. It has to move up half a step or 1 fret, and then we're ending up with the exact same shape again. And that's a major second shape. So just remember that as we're going through these, the interval shapes are going to stay the same through all the string sets unless one of the note hits the second string. That's when you have to make the adjustment. So your next interval was a minor third or flat 3. It looked like this. That's your shape. Going to the next string sets, it's going to stay the same because you're not hitting that second string. Next string set's same, not hitting the second strings. Next string set, the note that's on the second string had to move up 1 fret, so now the shape looks like this. Go down to the next string sets, down towards the floor. The note that's on the second string moves up again, so you just end up with the same shape again, the same shape that we started with. Same thing with major third. It's going to be the same thing. You're starting with this shape, going down until you hit the second string, then that one note moves up, and then it moves up again, so you end up with the same shape. Perfect fourth, same thing. Note moves up when it hits the second string. Then the next note moves up when it hits the second string. End up with the same shape you started with. Augmented fourth or diminished fifth looks like this. Same thing that we've been doing. Hits the second string, it has to move up. Go down again. That note that's hitting the second string moves up. You end up with the same shape that you started with. Perfect fifth, same thing. Augmented fifth or minor sixth, it changes up a little because you're skipping a string this time. So shape starts like this. The next two string sets are the same, but then now it's already hitting the second string. So the note that's hitting the second string has to move up 1 fret or half a step, so the shape changes. And then when you're on the next 2 strings, it stays the same as it was with the last 2 string sets because nothing's hitting that second string again. So for augmented fifth or minor sixth, the shape looks like this on these 2 string sets, but then on these 2 string sets, it looks like that. And again, it's just based on when a note is hitting the second string. Same thing with the major 6 or the minor 7 shape. This one looks like that, starting with the 6-string root or tonic. The next string sets look the same, and then the next 2 string sets look the same as each other. So 6-string tonic or root, 5th-string tonic or root, 4th-string tonic or root, 3rd-string tonic or root. Minor 7th is going to be the same thing as you go through these. Major 7th, same thing. Perfect octave, same thing. So just remember, any interval shape that you start with, if it's starting with a 6-string root or tonic, is going to stay the same as you're going through all the string sets unless one of the notes is hitting the second string. Then the note that's hitting the second string, that note has to move up half a step or 1 fret. And again, that's because everything's tuned as a perfect fourth except between the 3rd and 2nd string is tuned as a major 3rd. So that affects your second string when notes hit your second string. And everything is in your eGuide. These are all laid out so you can quickly reference them, just like everything we're going over. So look at that anytime you need, and you'll always have a reference for it. So those are interval shapes in all the string sets. In the next lesson, we're going to take a deeper look at octave shapes. Look in your Music Theory 2 workbook for step-by-step guidance on how to retain this information and what to do next. And remember, all the charts and diagrams for this lesson are in your Music Theory 2 eGuide for you to reference at any time.